All right, everybody, welcome to Ask Anything. This is Todd Burnham with Phil McCarthy. What we're giving here is information, and it's not to be construed as legal advice. So if you're cool with that, then let's go. Phil?
Yeah, hey everybody. I just want to introduce myself. I'm Phil McCarthy. I am not a lawyer. I'm an entrepreneur and building a business, whether it's a law firm or any other type of firm, the dynamics are pretty much the same. Today, we're going to talk about culture and the dynamics there, things that lead to the highest level of success. So I'm looking forward to having a conversation with you, sharing some time with you, and seeing if we can't move the needle for each other.
All right, so the big thing that I think that's happening in the industry right now and that we're dealing with at Burnham Law is the concept of culture. Culture is an easy thing to talk about, but it's really hard to understand and implement and change, right? So when you're talking about culture, I think of well, how are people acting to each other? And that's really part of it, but the importance of culture can't be minimized, right? It can't be overstated. AI comes in, private equity comes in, as different investment opportunities come in to all law firms. The big thing that makes it sustainable is a culture. Is that once the founder's gone, does it stick, right? Is it something that people believe in, the people that are going to stay around, even if there are changes, right? And even if there is an investment from outside investment, even if there's not that, there's still the piece that you have to be competitive, right? And so culture is that piece. We created the law firm playbook as something that creates stability. I teach it at CU Law. How do you maintain stability in the face of chaos like COVID? I think AI and the implementation of AI that changes every week is another piece that you just commit to. That's part of your culture. So when I look at things from the big picture, and I look at it from a steps and how can we implement things. And then at the same time, you need someone that, from my macro view to the micro view. And that's Phil. And he helps us. He's our mindset coach. He helps us with implementation at the law firm. And I'm going to leave it to him to start talking about the 5 pieces of culture. And then how do you win by implementing, and how do you get those reps?
Right? Oh, that's great. Yeah. So again, in culture, you can have a culture of execution. I think it's actually what we are all after. And that just entails a couple things, which is 1, how we do things, and 2, how we behave between each other. So in culture, the 5 pieces that we wanted to talk about today was, what gets rewarded, what gets tolerated, how are decisions made, how do we treat each other, and then again, have a little bit of a discussion on what is performance actually. So I think to kick this off, we talk about what gets rewarded. So again, as you think about culture, you think about what we're delivering and how we deliver it. And this is a behavior side of it. So what gets rewarded is how we treat each other. Some of the best practices around how we treat each other are listening generously, speaking straight, understanding that commitments are a two-way street, being forward and forwarding for each other, hoping for the best, having positive intention. And then letting people understand a clear path to how they have an impact on the business in their role. I think the greatest gift you can give somebody is that clear path. And there shouldn't be a single person in the firm that doesn't know exactly what brings value and the impact they can have. So then that sets them up to be autonomous in that space to deliver on those things. And that's when we get back to what gets rewarded. We should reward people handling and delivering on what's expected in those roles, how they handle people. Todd, anything to add to that?
No, I love it. It's great.
Great.
I'm the tech part here.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then the next part is what gets tolerated. So, when we're at our best, the strengths that we have, the way we treat people is pretty easy to handle. But when things get under pressure, or we've missed a quarter, or where our performance is down, that's where we get off tracks on behaviors, right? Some of our greatest strengths become our weaknesses or obstacles in those situations. The Hogan assessments out there in the world allow people to understand what their strengths are, what they contribute, what gets deployed. But the biggest thing about those are outward-looking behaviors, and the way they measure them is how you impact other people, which is what matters about your strengths. So what gets tolerated should be the behaviors that lead towards delivering on your role, and you have to be good enough to be able to do that without bothering other people.
That's good.
Right.
Not bothering other people. In a law firm, I think one of the things that gets tolerated oftentimes, and it's hard when you're an empath or you have people that are looking out for other people all the time, right? And at the same time, there are standards, right? There are
Yes.
standards that we
Yep.
have in a law firm. And some of them are like to keep the doors open, you have to maintain your billable hours, right? If you're not hitting your billables, or if you're not even hitting your billables, let alone your transfers, then that's something that gets tolerated, and that's not a good thing, right? Of course, there's going to be situations where people aren't going to hit their numbers. You have a slow week or something like that. And you also have to look and see, are we efficient? Are we maximizing our value to our clients? Or are we tolerating a lack of ingenuity, a lack of tech-facing, forward-facing processes? Like we use iPads at trials now. There's a lot less time that is taken to generate, a bunch of iPads rather than trial binders, right? That saves thousands of dollars. And some people don't want to do that, right? I'm sure that's just any time there's a change, there's going to be resistance to it because change is scary, right? But if you can actually educate people, don't tolerate the lack of curiosity in something new. And if you can do that, I think that's a step towards, you're not going to make everybody change all of a sudden, but if you can model curiosity in everything that you do as a leader, then those changes are going to be looked at as something that helps the client and the people that are doing the work.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, at the end of the day, you just want to build a healthy business and healthy relationships within that business, which, project out to every stakeholder, whether it be the owner, our clients, first and foremost, and then each treat how, for each other.
Yeah.
Right. So what does it mean to be contributing to a healthy environment? It means that we have an eye on this thing being able to stick around, right? Like all businesses go out of business for the same reason.
Yeah.
They run out of money.
Yeah.
Now they get there 1,000 different ways. Right. But what we're trying to say is, hey, let's create an environment we all get to work in. So if we created a healthy one, we all get to work in a healthy environment. Right. So kind of that becomes the conversation around how do we handle our billing? How do we make sure we're hitting our hours? Are we charging the right amount for our clients? Are we servicing our clients the right way? Do we understand their needs? So if we do those things right and we focus on what we deliver, then we are adding to the health of the company.
That's good.
Right?
Yeah. What are the ways what are some reps? What do you think of when you think of reps for,
Yeah.
actually practicing things that impact culture?
When I want to think about where the engagement to a client starts, if you ask me, right? So I have my first meeting. I picture in your head you have a filter about this person. So you have a general idea of what their needs might be or what the case might involve, but you haven't heard it specifically and the story being told from your client. How we listen in that initial meeting, how we allow them to tell their story their way, how we lay out what good communication between the two of you should look like, how that supports them, and how you present yourself as a team member for that person going through something that isn't wonderful in their life, all matters. Typically, we want to go really fast to figuring out, is this person going to be great to work with or bad to work with, black and white. But we really want to break that down a little bit and just say, hey, here's a person with a problem. I'm going to listen pretty generously to this. Then I'm going to show them that they have a great teammate and my strengths are for them to be deployed to help them through this process. And I think that if we give them the ability to teach us who they are and what matters to them, then we can show up as a great guide, right? And we can tell them, here's how we are going to approach helping you.
I like that. That's good.
Is that fair? So I
Yeah.
think that starts with, again, initial contact with the client.
Yeah.
And by extension, that's the exact way we should view the peers that we work with, right? We should approach people with curiosity and know that, in positive intent, assume positive intent.
Yeah. I mean, and when you're having a performance-based service firm, where you're really pushing, people want to be pushed to continue to get better, right? That's culture, right? And so that goes with what gets tolerated, like you have an obligation also to invest in the people that are working with you on your team. And that doesn't mean letting them off, like
Yeah.
keep pushing them to to keep getting better. That's what they want, right? If you have if you have the right culture, people are interested in hearing feedback.
They really do. And if we're before I get to feedback, one thing I wanted to point out was I like this concept of what you get, what you owe.
Mm.
Right. So if I'm looking for a healthy work environment, I'm looking for a little bit of autonomy. I'm looking for a little bit of flexibility on how I deliver for my clients. Then what I owe is I owe consistency. I owe behaviors that are forwarding for the firm, for the client, and for the people I work with and myself, right? It should represent us. So I also owe doing the things that get positive outcomes for our clients. I owe really understanding their case. I owe putting the time that's necessary into the case, but not too much, the right amount of efficient time into the case. I owe documenting that time and how that gets measured. I owe making sure I owe the firm all the hours that I'm supposed to commit to in a week, right? I owe my performance, the top of my game.
Yeah.
And I think that that is the other side of culture is delivering on the things you owe consistently, so you can be part of a strategy.
Good stuff. I like that. That's really good. Yeah. I mean, and you want to be able to like, when you have that kind of environment, then those things don't be there. It's not so easy to tolerate things that aren't at that level.
Yeah, I mean, we all love to know what the standard is. And the reason we like to know what the standard is because that allows us to stay. Like it almost becomes a choice. Like if you tell me if you can deliver 30 hours, if you can be great for your customers, if you can communicate well, run a nice clean case, you can mentor the people around you so you can help a win and help a teammate, right? If I'm doing those things, is that the standard? Is that what's expected? Yes, great. Then I can stay as long as I want. To take me off the field would be an inefficient leadership decision. So I like to help people, everyone kind of get to the space where they control being on the field.
I love that. And everything we talk about, like a lot of this is sports references only because this is what we know, right? Like correlate this to chorus or choir or whatever else works for you. But getting on the field means you're playing, right? You're an integral part of the team. Losing you would be a sad moment for the firm, right?
Yeah.
That's what you want to get to,
Right.
right? And then it's like after you do that, then you're building other people up, and then you establish something that reflects your values also. Like every teammate contributes to the culture. So I think
That's it. And I think for everybody on the team, what we want is for people to say, how do I like to get better, right? And when I think about, you 1.0, you 2.0, 3.0, right? I think there's three buckets you could use. So practically speaking, think about this. How do I improve my skill? How do I improve my will, like my attitudes and way of thinking about things? And then lastly, how do I improve my awareness? And sometimes that's situational awareness. Sometimes that's self-awareness. Sometimes that's emotional intelligence. But we're trying to improve ourselves in all those ways. Now, if sometimes that becomes what we could consider, you get on the wrong side of just thinking about yourself and your own growth. So the way like athletes think about this is, hey, we all want to be great, right? But then we all want to also, the win matters most.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The team win, right? So I don't get 2 goals and celebrate when we lose in front of everybody, right?
No, you don't.
Right?
Don't be that person.
So the way to appease that in your own mind should be the better I get, the more I have to offer. Right. So that's a giving mentality, but it is also a competitive mentality because you want to be great because you want to give a lot.
Right.
Right. And that requires you asking yourself, am I learning? Am I seeing the things I need to work on? And are other people helping me? You mentioned feedback.
Yep.
God, it's so vital, but we have such a hard time with it. Giving and taking.
Yeah.
Remember, feedback is a skill to give it and a skill to receive it. It has 3 main components. There is coaching, evaluation, or acknowledgement. So if you're asking for feedback, instead of just saying, hey, can you give me some feedback on how things are going and how I'm contributing or how I'm working with people, what you're really saying there possibly is give me some coaching and not so much evaluation. Or, hey, what am I doing well would be give me some acknowledgement, right? So specifically asking what you're trying to draw out from someone will help you get closer to the answers.
Yep.
And when you deliver feedback, being really specific matters. Remember back in the playing days when somebody would say, good game?
Yeah.
And then you're left to process what parts of that game are they valuing was a good game.
Yeah. Was it the
right?
ground ball? Was it the
Was
call?
it the assist? Was it the
Yeah.
defense? Was it the
Yeah.
save?
Yep.
Right? So remember, but we all remember this moment when somebody did say, "Hey, great job today getting us 3 possessions on those ground balls.
Yeah.
That made a big difference, and that tilted some of the play of the game." You remember exactly what to do with
That
that.
person values effort, right? In my
Yeah.
head, I'm like, all right, that's how I get on the field. It's that.
It's that. So remember also when you're giving it, people aren't just looking for a pat on the back. They really do want to make an adjustment to make their game better. Again, the better I get, the more I have to give. So it seems like it's a difficult thing. You're delivering difficult news to someone to say, try this and you'll probably find some more success. It's the greatest gift that we have in a culture is offering each other genuine, thoughtful, forwarding feedback that can help them change their game if they make an adjustment. Right. So, and again,
Yeah.
I'm not telling someone you suck and here's how you're going to get your message.
Yeah.
Get better, shape up, or you're off the team.
Yeah.
Those are threatening, unsafe, not a healthy environment.
Yeah.
I'm I'm honestly saying I've thought of your game. When I think of you, I see it. Here's your adjustment, and if you make it, you'll feel better and you'll have more success. And then when somebody goes and makes that adjustment and they feel the change in what they deliver, honestly, you've really helped make that team
And then you
a more
develop
winning team.
momentum. That person's going to be looking for the next one. Right?
Yes,
Just
right.
constantly like, oh, I got better here. I'm going to keep getting better. Right. And you can't, like, you are who you surround yourself with. So if one person is going up and everyone else is competitive and team focused,
Yeah.
they're all going to come up too. It's all
Right.
good stuff.
And then you start thinking about yourself and the firm. So right. So you're not just thinking about how this whole world is tilted and created for you. It's also tilted and created for your clients. It's how it's tilted and created for your peers. And that's just a better way to go. That's a better way to go to work, I'll say.
Better way to live. All right, what's next? How are decisions made for culture?
How are decisions made? So again, how we organize, right? How the organizational chart, how our roles relate. What are the core functions of the business, right? That's a super important thing to do, right? Because if we don't have a strategy and we don't have the process to deliver that strategy, and we don't put the people in the right seats to also deliver that, then we kind of have a mess,
Yeah.
right? Like you're going on the field hoping to win by just playing, right?
Yeah.
And you're not running anything that somebody recognizes,
No game plan.
right? No game plan. So you just have a bunch of well-intentioned, well-oiled athletes going in all different directions, right? And in the law firm, that would be just us as professionals, each of us believing that we're together on what's best, but no measurement, no in sync delivery of that. And as a result of that, it's really tough to move a business and to grow a business that way.
Yeah, there has to be some organizational structure, right?
Yeah.
And so when you're thinking about culture, just to recap, we got 5 things that impact or make you curious about a culture. What gets rewarded, what gets tolerated, how are decisions made, how do we treat other people, especially under pressure, and what does performance mean, right? So we're on to how are decisions made, and so we can start talking about different structures, right? So top down, that was really good in the 50s and Mad Men and all of that stuff. I think at Burnham Law we do a collective intelligence model, but it means something when you're on leadership, right? Because you have a voice in the direction and vision of where everyone's going, and that's a responsibility, right? That's a really important thing that you have to take. Like, you're responsible not just for yourself, like Phil was saying. You're also responsible for all the people that don't have an input. They're relying on you to make really smart decisions in front of the market, and one that brings people together. That's not easy, right? Being first and being best, like, that takes effort.
Yeah, that does. And the goal here is to be very specific on how you organize. So again, some companies are CEO run, but you've watched them, a CEO and a CFO really take charge of that business.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's a CEO and a COO in law that can happen and be organized that way. Other times it can be run by managing partners.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that could be 2 people, 3 people, one, or multiple people, then reporting to the board to make sure that there's a good measurement on what is healthiest
Yeah.
as far as decisions making. But I think that for all of you, just make the decision on who picks strategy and who holds the whole firm accountable, and then work down from there. So let's say you have two business units. You have domestic relations and you have civil.
Okay.
Okay, so there's a person that oversees the whole firm, all functions, all the core functions, right? And then there are people that sit at the top of those two business units.
Yep.
And then from there, we work down so that for each position, so that somebody has somebody that they get to share their ideas to, report to, and has expectations about the role they deliver. But that's working down from a leadership standard. I like to look at it also let's start from the bottom and look all the way up. If I know what my role is, going back to, the greatest reward you could give somebody is a clear path to how they have an impact. Every role should say, if I'm doing these 5 things, I'm meeting the standard.
Yeah.
And if I do these 6 things, I'm beating the standard.
Yep.
Right. And if that leads up to the next role, and then, okay, so let's communicate that's still the strategy. That's still what we expect to deliver, and we're still getting the outcomes we want for our clients, then we're on the right path.
Yeah. You're going in the right direction.
We're going in the right direction, right?
Yeah.
So we work down and we work up in a culture that's pretty healthy. Yep. And again, feedback goes both ways. Like as we work down and you look at leadership, you've got to have a pulse on your players. You have to know your players, what excites them, what bothers them.
You have to have, there's your emotional intelligence piece, right?
Yeah.
You've got to connect. If you can't connect, if you can't communicate, if you can't be aware, we're talking about awareness earlier, being aware, even financial, if that's your responsibility, but most importantly, people. Be aware of what's going on, right? You're not going to necessarily be able to invest in every single person, right? But all the people that are around you are going to be investing in one another. And so that leads us to the next one. How do we treat each other, right?
Yeah. Listen, everyone likes to win, and that can mean a lot of different things in this environment, right? It could be, I deliver for my customers better than anybody. I understand what they're going through, relate to them, and build trust that way. And when they're done working with me, they feel like value and performance has been delivered for them, and they've been thought about and cared about. But also, then I have the responsibility of my own firm. So every stakeholder gets us deployed towards, winning for all of us, right? So I think, but in that, when things go right, it's pretty easy. We all have a positive relationship with winning, right? We like when things go well and when we perform well, and when our clients win, life's pretty good. But where things start to get challenged or break down is again when, hey, we had a setback, something didn't go our way. A client's upset, whether it's communication, how we handled something, and they want clarity on how to get back on track. The firm, I'm not delivering my on what I committed to. I'm not hitting my hours. I'm not transferring. I'm not billing. That's where the breakdowns happen. Now, nobody has perfect play. You're going to love some of your plays, and you're going to hate some of your plays, and a bunch of plays are just going to be neutral. Those dynamics hold true on fields as well as in offices. But what we do in those moments really defines whether we have a real, true, and genuine culture that supports people trying to find the top of their game and deliver it. Does that make sense?
I love that. Yeah, I mean, how you treat each other, it goes to all aspects, especially when, how do you lead in those times of challenges, right? Like, I believe that, everything good and valuable is on the other side of hard. And so every time we are in a challenging situation, or anytime that we're in a situation where we're being met with resistance, right? The ability to keep going through and lift up other people, is really what it's all about. It brings me to the old saying of being coffee, right? There's a child in the kitchen with his mom. He's asking, tell me about adversity, right? He says, okay, here's a carrot, here's an egg, and here's coffee, right? She puts it in the, boils some water. Carrot, egg, coffee. Carrot goes in. She says, tell me how, what does this look like? Well, the carrot is hard on the outside, hard on the inside. Look, what happens when it faces the water? Well, it gets soft. Okay, now tell me about the egg. Hard on the outside, soft on the inside. What happens when it faces the adversity, the hot water? It gets hard on the inside too, right? Then what is about the coffee? Well, it smells really good. When you put it into the hot water, it makes it better, right? That's the job as a leader. You have to be constantly thinking about how am I treating everyone here? How do I treat myself? What am I modeling for everyone? And how do I encourage people to be curious and get better through adversity? And it's going to happen. You're going to have negative reviews. You're going to lose a case. You're going to have all these things. How do we bring people up in those situations?
Yeah, it's funny. I think performance and leadership go hand in hand. Like every leader is a performer,
Right.
but not every performer is a leader,
Right.
right? But the dynamics of performance, when you're trying to find the top of your game, this is why it's so important to be looking to get better all the time, right?
Yeah.
Then you understand what goes into that. And that's when I fall short, who's got me? Who's working with me to help me understand what pieces I missed, right? Some of that awareness piece.
Yeah.
When I just am unmotivated or totally bothered or things are going on in my personal life, how do you help me get back on track?
Yeah.
Who can I reach out to? And for me personally, knowing what I owe that performance, no matter what the excuse is, whether it's even an acceptable excuse or not, I owe that performance. So I'm looking for that kind of help, and I'm looking to grab that for myself to get back on track. So in performance, again, like I deliver the standard, deliver what's committed to the role, do that consistently. We know that, but we will have off plays. And I'll tell you, when you build most trust on the off plays, on the setbacks, in those moments where somebody needed a little bit of help, and you help them get back on track, that's leadership, right? So leadership then becomes, hey, I understand everyone wants to be at the top of their game. Nothing feels better, right? Like
Yeah.
if you say to somebody, do you remember your best game ever? A giant smile comes across their face.
Yeah.
So everybody wants to find their best day ever, right? So when you're in a leadership role, all you have to do is understand that about all your players, and then ask questions and listen, and see where they're off and see where you can get them back because they want their best game ever. And when 18 people deliver that for you, you're going to tilt some outcomes.
Let me ask you this: when you have these 5 or 4 aspects dialed in, and everyone knows what gets rewarded, what gets tolerated, how the
Yep.
decisions are made, and how we treat each other with performance. Um, what does it look like? I mean, what are your responsibilities as a founder or a partner or owner of a business? Like, what is your responsibility, and how do you maintain the culture on a regular basis and not let it get out of whack?
Yeah, I think check in.
Mm.
Check in. So I think what are the meeting rhythms have become a question, right? So I understand the structure and who owes what decision making, right?
Yeah.
And who reports to whom.
Yeah.
That's just one piece of it, right? What is each role delivering and how is it contributing to the overall strategy is super important. Has the strategy shifted? Are there any headwinds that we're up against? Has anything from my role shifted? I have to be adaptable enough to accept that and handle that.
Mm-hmm.
Are we adding a business unit? Are we subtracting a business unit?
Yeah.
Is AI making an adjustment to the way things have been done that I have to be open and be a positive force for good in making that adjustment? Does our software systems need changing? And I have to adopt that without complaint.
Yeah.
Those are the type of things in performance that really can make a difference, right? When you see people that are pretty calm in environments, we kind of gravitate towards them. We kind of wait and see what they think, right? So if you become that person, you have a real responsibility to show people the way,
Mm-hmm. That's good.
right?
Yeah, I mean, like our environment, right? I mean, what we're talking about is the same stuff that we've been talking about before that I always get to. Where's my cursor? Oh, let's see.
Say with the finger.
It works. Performance equals natural talent plus work ethic
Skill, I would call that will. Yeah.
with passion multiplier and obsession, right? Times consistency
Yeah.
divided by environment. And that's the ultimate equalizer right there, right? We're talking about performance. Now, you might have a different aspect of this. This is one that I created.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, what do you like if you
Well,
this?
when I look inside of things, I've learned in a research environment that I do with Columbia University that it is the ingredients more than the recipe. The recipe helps you drive the ingredients towards an outcome, though. And that's what I see here. So this is meant to say, hey, pay attention to the ingredients first.
Yeah.
Get those right.
Yeah.
And then how you sort to outcomes through getting those things right is
Yeah.
super important. And I think that's just a way of organizing that thought.
Well, this is individual and this is group, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's everything. If you can focus on the things that you can control your natural talent, your work ethic, and how consistent you are with the reps. And then, we're talking about like Casey Powell was put on the bench. Like he could be the best player ever, but if Casey or Gary Gates on the bench doesn't really help. Your environment sucks. Get out of there.
Yeah.
Right. So I think those kinds of things are just good things to like look at, remember. And if you're that kind of person that thinks like that and can process and understand, then I think at the end of the day, whatever works for you, that ever connects with you and your people is what's impactful.
Yep. I think that one of the hardest things is like we said before, all leaders perform, but not all performers lead. But at some point, sometimes in performance, you want to challenge yourself and you want to say, what's on the other side of self-performance?
Yeah.
Right? What's expected, what's needed if I take on a leadership role? Or, I was a senior associate, now I'm a partner. So what am I doing differently? I deliver my game as an individual performer, but now what's expected of me when I put my leadership hat on, right? And I think what we're asking is that we're not tilting the whole environment at us to see how far we can take ourselves.
Right.
How good we can get so much in that role. What we're doing is saying, hey, I'm putting on a hat that says the decisions that I need to make here have to make me more generous with my teammates and understand what they need, where they're falling short, and what's the right message in the right moments, right? And then secondly, what creates health? And that financial health is part of it, and the behavioral health is part of it.
Yep.
So what contributes to health? And I've got to be able to put on a financial hat and understand that, because listen, the more healthy the business is, the longer we can all do this.
That's it.
Right.
That's it. You need the inconvenient truth is that you need to generate revenue, right? As you're being of service and understanding that money chases service, right? So if that's your benchmark and it's focused on service, you also have to be of service to the people that are on your team. Like you have to invest, you have to understand, know what motivates them, what's healthy for them, right? You often tell me like if there's a person that's not performing, there's a team for that, or there's a bus for that, just not this bus, and knowing when you need investment and when you want to invest in other places. These are all parts of culture.
Yeah, all of us, it's simple for what keeps you on a team, what gets you on a team keeps you on a team.
Yeah.
A couple things, right? Care and effort. First
Care
of all,
and effort.
we just want to know that you care and you'll put in an effort. I used to call that a gas pedal, that you give a crap, right?
Yep.
And as long as you have that, people will help you find your best place. Like again, you make a poor play, but you care and you're putting in the effort and you're asking what went wrong. You're asking for feedback to make adjustments to get back on the field again.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we can all ask from each other, right? That's the best it can get.
That's the same thing as like we were talking about performance from. Like effort is work ethic, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's all the same stuff. Like truth doesn't lie. Like you can say it many different ways, but you got to put in the effort, keep the effort going, keep pushing yourself, and be in an environment that rewards that, right? That values that, not just is billing.
Yeah.
You're not getting better. You're just making other people more money.
That's another part of feedback, right? The acknowledgement. So when someone's playing well or someone's putting in the effort, and whether they're getting a result or not, you see the effort. Or someone's working on an adjustment that will make the firm better in the end, right? Or healthier. Yeah. Acknowledge that, but be specific. Don't say good game or I love what you've been doing lately. Tell them that he or she exactly where they're making an impact and that you've noticed that they're changing and they're working on those things. And people thrive when that happens.
Final thoughts, top 5 pieces. If I say what gets rewarded, give me one sentence. Culture, what gets rewarded?
Consistency. If you deliver consistently, you can be part of the strategy, right? So we've all seen the world where we had a star player on our team. Yep. And if that person had a good game, we won. And if they had a bad game, we suffered. We lost.
Yep.
So you owe consistency so you can be part of a strategy. If I play consistently, I don't have to be at the top of my game all the time. But if I deliver something that you can expect, then you could decide, hey, put me in front of this time. Nope, second, I'm going to be second in chair in this case.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to go on the second line. That's okay. I'm still playing.
Yeah.
Right? So you get to decide, people get to decide how to use us as long as we're consistent. When we don't know what we're going to get, it's really difficult to even put you on the field and count you as a performer.
Good point. Yep. Sports is life, man. Number 2, what gets tolerated?
I think the behaviors that lead to health should get tolerated. The behaviors that lead to execution should be acknowledged, and taking someone else mentally off the field by bothering them, by saying the wrong words to them, right? It should definitely not get tolerated. We have to protect how we treat each other,
Yep.
like anything else that's important to the farm.
How are decisions made?
Decisions are made by understanding the direction you're going, outlining the path to getting there, and then holding everyone accountable to make it to driving at the things that lead to success. And when we're off kilter or we don't deliver, we step in immediately and we start correcting. We self-correct and we get corrected from the people that care about how we do things.
All right. And last one, combining 4 and 5, performance and how we treat each other.
I think this is what you owe, right? So listen, if I want an environment that's super healthy, if I want to be able to be at the top of my law game, if I want clients that have real problems that I can help them solve, to put them back into their lives in a really positive way, if you allow me to have some autonomy to deliver on that, if you help me develop and I know I'm getting better in this environment, then I owe you something, right? It's kind of like you can't ask to be on the first line of the hockey team and then complain that you have to deliver performance,
right,
or a goal or an assist or a high, right? You have to contribute to the win. So what you owe is, hey, understand the firm needs to be healthy. It needs to make a profit. It needs people that want to stay. So that's how we treat them, and it needs clients that leave better in a better place than when we met them.
Love it.
Yep.
Come back next week, every Thursday, 11 a.m. Phil and I are gonna, get in the weeds of what moves the needle when you're trying to build something that's special, right? Till then, have a good day.
Yep. See ya. Thanks.